Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Osaka Springboard. Meet with Swiss startups and more. Yay! All right, are you ready to find out some amazing things about some wonderful companies? Yeah? Okay. My name is Nathan Bryan, and I'm honored to serve as your MC for today's event. We are delighted to have with us here today 10 outstanding startups from around the world. They will pitch their innovative products and services, aiming to build collaborations with Japanese partners and explore investment opportunities here in the Kansai area. This pitch showcase is not a competition. However, we will present two special recognitions, the Best Pitch Award and the Impact Award. The selected companies will be honored with prizes provided by one of our partners, FutureWorks. Let me briefly now explain and introduce what Osaka Springboard is. This program supports international startups looking to expand into Osaka and the Kansai region. There are two main supports. First is expert advice, including business consultation, legal support, and help with startup visas. The second is business matching, connecting startups directly with Japanese companies through our network. In addition, Osaka Springboard links startups with local events and organizations, opening doors to new opportunities here in Osaka. Simply put, if you're looking to do your business here in Osaka, Osaka Springboard is the gateway for global startups to do business here in Kansai. Now, before we start this pitch, I'd like to introduce you to the commentators for today's show. We have Mr. Brian Lim, the COO of Econize. And Ms. Hidemi Nakanuma, founding general partner and CEO from Appreciate Capital. All right, Brian, good to see you again. Hidemi, nice to meet you. You got a tough job. A lot of great companies here for you today. Okay, now without any further ado, let's begin the pitch showcase. Each company will have 7 minutes to pitch, followed by a 5-minute Q&A section. So now please welcome our first presenter to Osaka Springboard from Indonesia, Green Hope. Okay, welcome. Are you ready to give your presentation?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. Our first presentation for the day. All right.
All right.
Let's start. You're on.
Okay. Hello, my name is Tommy Chiptajaya. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Green Hope. Thank you for listening to our story. Let me start by saying that two of the biggest environmental crises of our time is, we know it, climate change and plastic waste pollutions. One destroys our livelihood, our planet. The other one destroys our bodies. Because through climate, you lose your livelihood, and through plastic waste pollution, we ingest already, according to World Economic Forum, 10 grams or 15 grams of plastics a week, microplastics. Is a very serious existential crisis. It also presents a massive opportunities because plastic consumption alone, we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars consumption a year and growing at the GDP rate globally. But so far, the fight against plastic waste pollution has been stagnant or uneven at best, because people are being fixated with reduce, reuse, recycle all the time. They're good, but they're not enough. Because yes, we need to reduce our consumption where we can. We need to carry our own water tumbler, our bags, and everything reusable where we can. But when you talk about global economies, you talk about shipping, fast-moving consumer goods, you need recycling. And then we ask ourselves, is it economically viable to recycle? Like PET bottles, you can recycle. But then you talked about films, shopping bags, packaging that is flimsy, garbage bags, seedling bags, all the amount of packaging, there's films, that's very tricky. So that's where we come in. We complete the solution sets that is available, which is returned to Earth through a bio-based, regenerative, and biodegradable at the end of life, causing no microplastics pollution. Why bioplastics? Because almost all solutions today are fixated on downstream solutions, call it pyrolysis, recycling, incinerations. Those are beholden upon geographical complexity, the reverse logistic costs that are required to save that material. But if we start to intervene on upstream, through IP-driven, we work with a lot of converters to convert brand by brand their items that are not economically viable to recycle. We change it into lower carbon base from tapioca starch or biodegradable at the end of life. It's much easier to scale. It's much easier to achieve profitability. It's much easier to be replicated across countries. So that's where we are. Green Hope is actually a material innovation company that we like to see ourselves as social enterprise that research and manufacture our own bio-based and biodegradable resins. We work primarily B2B with converters that apply more than 40 different applications, from shopping bag, garbage bags, seedlings, utensils, and so forth. And then we work with brands as well, converting their needs to be greener, and then we create a pull effect to source it from our customers, the finished products. So think of Green Hope as we actually produce the resins. If NVIDIA is producing chip for AI, we're producing chip for environmental friendly packaging. We are a recipient of award by World Economic Forum. A lot of our technologies are definitely evidence-based and validated, certified, even bio-based certification in Japan. We already secured that. So we are ready, and we've been having good momentum over the 8 years that we've been in business. The company is led by a good co-founder that are complementary, one technical, and myself actually come from a consulting background in Southeast Asia, a management consultant. We also, amongst our R&D team, people graduate from Tsukuba University and very fluent in Japanese, and then also also have biodegradable and bio-based patents holders. So imagine in the future, I mean, CSR is good, but it would be better if we can have regenerative business model from the get-go. So that is the ambition of Green Hope. We can source from tapioca starch from the farmer in Indonesia, lower carbon, and we pay them more actually. We're certified Fair for Life by Swiss organization. We convert it into higher value add products across more than 40 applications, all these different applications. And then the end of life is not negative to the environment. This will create virtuous circularity that we hope can be an example of a business of the future. It's hard, to be really honest, but we're getting there. We're making progress. And we currently have more than 40 different applications and counting. These are examples of our actual projects, including the one with Paris Hilton, actually. We create a biodegradable doggy waste bag. If you can guess, there are actually 20 million dogs in the United States. That's a lot of dogs, more than population, some of the Southeast Asian countries. So it doesn't make sense to wrap organic material with unorganic synthetic material that creates microplastics. So we have all this stuff that is actually very, very promising, and we're selling right now and economically viable in Southeast Asian countries mostly. So that's where Japan comes into a picture. So if we summarize Green Hope first, it's about 4 things. One is our technology is proven, evidence-based, and we have strong adoption momentum. 2 is we're well diversified for growth and de-risking because of our different technologies and footprint and applications. We also have holistic ecosystem approach. We are really working with UNDP, with NGO, we are in the World Economic Forum because we do need to be a system player or ecosystem player. We have brand presence across value chains, from upstream, B2B, and consumer facing. So 3 things why we are really in Japan, and we are very keen to find local partners in Japan, investors or partners who can really help us either to serve Japanese market or actually to go international through Japan. Because first of all, Japan as a country is very keen adopter of bioplastics, already releasing a bioplastic roadmap for introduction. By 2030, at least 20% of applications are bio-based. That's worth probably at least $4 billion alone. Many different potential for innovation there. And 2 is that when we did Series A 2 years ago, we have some Japanese partners also who did the extensive due diligence on us and decided to support us. So by definition, now we have a mandate. We do want to be here. We like the ambition. We know we can add value here through as the Southeast Asian counterpart. And thirdly is that we have successfully made some progress. This is a project we did with UNDP where they actually gave some grants to develop further our farmers on the capacity building. But through our existing technology, we converted into bio straws. And already more than a lot of cafes in Okinawa already using our bio straws. Think about the awesome G2G story on this, actually. We have positive farmers, alleviating poverty at farmers level in Indonesia, but then we help our Japanese partners to go green in the downstream. So it's an amazing story and our dream to be involved in that. So there are many opportunities ahead in collaboration with Japan, given Green Hope's core technology and different applications. we are looking for partners who really help us to co-develop or co-patent. We can co-brand new resins as well as finished products for Japan and international partners. And we can serve packaging needs of Japanese companies across the world or Southeast Asia as well. We know there's a lot of them, and they import to Japan or they import elsewhere or export elsewhere. And it all can be produced in Southeast Asia for cost advantage as well. So consider Green Hope as your ready, willing, able, and efficient material innovator based in Southeast Asia and leveraging native crops of Southeast Asia. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you, Tommy, for an amazing presentation. All right, let's give another big round of applause. Tommy, wait. Wait, don't go away yet. You're still on. Okay, we're now going to turn it over to our commentators for their feedback and questions. Brian and Hidemi, I think we need to get Tommy back out.
Oh, Q&A. Sorry.
No worries at all. Great presentation. Looking to see what you can do with reusable plastics.
Sorry, now the hard part. I forgot.
Yes, no. Now the fun begins. Okay.
Now the hard part.
Thank you, Tommy. Very great presentation and well needed. I have two main questions. One is, it's really impressive with the 40 applications that you already have. Can you elaborate on the TRL on those and how you see them expanding going forward? And the next one is, you mentioned about local partners, and you had logos with partners, but what would be your preferred partnership? Would it be to go more for brands or to work with manufacturers and chemical companies? What would be your ideal scenario for scalability?
Right. Thank you so much. I think we have three technologies, Oxium, EcoPlus, and NatureLoop. I can't go back here, sorry. Yeah, we have three technologies, Oxium, EcoPlus, and NatureLoop. Oxium and EcoPlus are actually commercialized, so it's very mature. Oxium already 7th generation, and EcoPlus 9th generation. The technology actually started to be researched in year 2000. So in material space, everything takes longer. But the company has been around for 9 years. So we have patented Oxium, EcoPlus, and it's commercial, and it's subscale, I would have to say. Gross profit positive, but because factory utilization is still a bit low, so we're still not there in terms of positive cash flow. But we're getting there. The third technology is in a patent process. It's a compostable, home compostable, but we are finding, we always think about two things when we develop. Okay, we can patent, but what is the exact application and market readiness to accept it? Because then otherwise, no need to go through the TRL process if there's no ready market. So we do it in parallel, yeah. And in terms of Japan, now that's where we are here. We always, I'm in a advice gathering mode. I think we talked with some of the big distributors or chemical companies and everything, and then we speak with some FMCGs. Some Japanese FMCGs are in discussion with us to do joint venture and stuff. So we're open to that, but I think the best setup is the one who's definitely have very local expertise, and if they can use the technology immediately, they can build the company, the joint venture faster. But then if they can help through Japan and we get upgrade also, we understand the technology level in Japan, then we can go international from here. That will be an awesome thing as well. So we're very open actually, and we're very flexible in that end, yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Tommy. Good to see you again. Two questions from my end. One is you mentioned subscale and relatively low utilization at the moment. So the first question is, how does your unit economics compare to any other packaging that is out there at the moment?
Yes. So when I say subscale, because we just did Series A, so we just expand our capacity threefold. So it's in that context also. So we still growing. And unit economics, it really depends on the market by market and technology and applications. So for instance, in Japan, I think Japan used bio-based, and number one, people who it's imported actually from Braskem, from Brazil, which is very far, sugarcane. We're just saying that, hey, we can be the number 2. It's Southeast Asia, a neighbor, very close, carbon footprint of transport much lower. So we're confident we can be economic parity if you compare like stuff. Of course, the challenge sometimes in sustainability is that compared to conventional technology products, right? Conventional plastics, that the negative externality is not built into the cost. That is the problem, right? With that, some of our technology, bio-based technology especially so, is still a little bit premium But then we can see the roadmap towards that, actually, as we scale. As we scale and we learn, we know we can get there. The roadmap is very clear. The trend is very clear. But then the second technology, the Oxium for Southeast Asia, especially biodegradable concept in Southeast Asia, is actually almost the same with conventional plastics. That's why the biggest FMCGs in Southeast Asia, especially in Indonesia, they're with us right now. Even things like Shopee, I don't know if you know that brand, Shopee, Mishware, those like a middle and lower end market, they're polymailer bags and they're shopping bags, they're using our technologies actually. So in Indonesia, we can invent a way to go green without having to burden on the cost side.
Perfect, thank you. And last question from me is, you have been very focused on the retail and hospitality industries with your bags and cutleries and straws and overall packaging. Is it in your product roadmap where there's going to be more than just single-use plastics or short-term use plastics in the future?
Yes. Yes, the answer is yes. And at the same time, it's a function of a ready partner who is the expert, who can provide us the performance parameters downstream. We know technology, we know the upstream, we can mix and match whatever for you, but then what is the product target balancing between affordability, functional properties, and environmental value, right? And that environmental value in different countries is different. In Japan, they say, Tommy-san, get the bio-based content as high as possible. I don't care about biodegradability. At first, I was like, why? Well, because we do thermal recycling as the end of life for everything in Japan that is not economically viable to recycle. Then it's bio-based play. But in Southeast Asia, because a lot of them are landfills, then it's going to be biodegradable play. Bio-based, okay, and between we need it or not need it. So that deep understanding of each market, but the market will not be as small each country, but it's going to be regional. So the regional play is exciting, yeah.
Understood. Great, thank you. Great pitch. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. And again, big round of applause for Green Hope. Okay, continuing on, let's now welcome our next presenter from Germany, Workus. Welcome to OSAKA Springboard. Okay, are you ready? Our second presenter for today?
Yes.
All right, let's get started. Here you go.
Hello everyone. こんにちは皆さん。本日はお集まりいただきありがとうございます。So thank you everyone for being here today, and thanks for giving me the stage to talk about what we do at Workus. At Workus, we have a clear vision. We want to free sales teams from repetitive manual work, give them back the time to focus on what really matters and drives growth for their business. And that's nurturing customer relationships and, well, making sales, right? So we're all facing same challenges globally. We are faced with an aging workforce and increasing salaries and also a shrinking population. But no country is more at the forefront of those demographic shifts than Japan. We are already having 1 in 3 people over 65 in Japan today, and this number is supposed to increase well into the 2030s, leaving about 6 to 7 million less workers in the workforce. And at the same time, we're seeing record growth in salary this year in 30 years of recorded salary history. And sales teams, well, they're already overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that they're doing on a daily basis. They're stuck in 70% of their time doing administrative work, like typing in orders, answering customer requests, and dealing with outdated ERP systems. And what they need is not just another tool. They need a new type of team member, one that actually speaks all the languages, doesn't get tired, is always efficient and on point. And that's where Workus comes in. We've created an AI agent that integrates seamlessly with the ERP and sales process landscape. It can automate sales orders and RFQs, so generally sales documents, from the inbox, so the email inbox, to the ERP system completely autonomously. So it's basically taking out the orders. It can read, extract, and validate information, enhances and validates it with master data or user-trained learnings, can read any language or document format, and makes sure that the order, for example, once received, is in the ERP system within seconds and not within days. No more backlogs, no more manual typing, just seamless efficiency, end to end. And the result, 10x productivity for your sales teams without any additional hires. So here's a bit of a look of how this works. You receive some kind of sales document to the email inbox. It can be PDF, Excel file, whichever it is. Our sales agent takes this information out of the inbox, identifies, sales document, this is for Workist, then transfers it to the workbench, where it's going to check the data points that are on the document. So this is customer information, this is a delivery address, this is article information. It's then validating everything against master data and makes sure that it's machine readable and structured and processes everything into the ERP system. And in case something is off, like, I've not seen this billing address in your master data, we have a human in the loop feature. So the human in the loop is alerted, basically. It alerts its team members, hey, I need your assistance here. Please teach me which kind of billing address is needed here. What master data record should I associate this with? And once it's completed, it will have learned this connection, and next time we see the same information coming in, we can automate this as well. So it gets smarter with every document that we receive and process. Globally, we have over 150 customers from different sectors, manufacturing and wholesale mainly, and it comes from the gummy worms. Yeah, I know you all know Haribo, but those are the other guys basically from Germany, so gummy worms, or it can be tools manufacturers, it can be vacuum cleaners, whichever it is, semiconductors, electronics sector. So we have companies from all kinds of sectors, and we have established ourselves as the European market leader in intelligent document processing. And also this year, we've already been recognized with the RISE Innovator Award at the next RISE in Seoul, so just a couple of weeks ago, further validating that our solution is needed in Asia as well. We are supporting teams in over 40 countries, from Europe to the Americas and Asia, and by that are connecting 100,000 companies globally through our platform, so saving millions of manual working hours every year. And we're just getting started. We're happy to say that we actually have our first distribution partners in Japan as well, so I'm happy to make that introduction too. And yeah, we're hoping to find more, maybe somewhere in the crowd here today. Our team of over 50 members brings deep expertise from the industry in ERP, AI, and SaaS, and is backed by trusted investors who also bring a global outlook. We are not just building any kind of software, we're building a solution that scales with people at the center. Because at Workist, we believe that the future of technology is not about replacing people, it's about removing friction so people can focus on what they do best, human to human. So yeah, if you're ready to bring AI to the sales back office and make sure that Japan's sales offices are just as efficient as Japan's world-renowned manufacturing industry, hit me up, and let's make sure to free millions from repetitive work together. Thank you. All
right, thank you very much. Another big round of applause for Workist. Yay. All right, wow, automating so much of the sales process, things coming in, okay?
Yeah.
And they can, well, set up. Freeing up hours to have person-to-person communication.
Exactly.
Okay, great. All right, now, Brian Hidemi, let's find out what your feedback and questions are.
Thank you, Marina. Great pitch. 2 questions. First one is on your customer segment.
Yeah.
I know that you mentioned that you already have quite a few clients in manufacturing and wholesale. Have you noticed any specific patterns where a specific type of manufacturer or specific type of wholesaler uses Workist the best, essentially, or gets the most out of Workist?
So basically, any customer that has a fixed product catalog that they're dealing with, and maybe also a fixed customer base. So the more accurate the data is that we receive, that we can validate with, and that we can match information that we take from documents against, the better our solution works. So when I go through a tools market, for example, I see a lot of our customers now. I'm like, oh yeah, I know this one. Or for example, in my hotel, my safe is from Assa Abloy. This is one of our customers who does keys and locking solutions. So they're basically all around. They're typically the mid-segment, let's say, but we have a few enterprise deals as well. For example, one of our customers here in Japan is Tyrolit. They're actually a European-based company, but with subsidiaries around the globe. And their sales team in Japan is working with our solution for over a year now. So yeah, manufacturing and wholesale, but especially the tools market and electronics sector is very much profiting from our solution.
Great, thank you. And my last question is, where does the tool sit? So you mentioned integrations with ERPs and emails. Is it natively sitting always on monitoring, or do you then need to, as you said, forward it documents, then it will kind of identify and notice that, yes, this is actually sales related and work is related, therefore I need to take this forward right now?
It's a B2B SaaS cloud solution, so basically our workbench, the user interface is hosted on a cloud and therefore can integrate with any landscape. We have then Smart Inbox that can dock in, for example, with the Outlook inbox, and the ERP system is the customer side, so whichever kind of ERP system they're using, we can integrate with. We have standardized output formats, but we can also customize, so also homegrown. I know we have them in Germany, but I also heard a lot about homegrown systems in Japan. So we're also able to integrate with them. As long as we know what kind of structured format is needed, we can provide that output.
Thank you. Just adding on that maybe, you mentioned that, so right now you have about 150 plus companies that you're partnering with. How long did it take to get to these companies? And do you tailor them, or is it that they can integrate it without tailoring per customer, per client? And what did the timeline be to implement or integrate the company in their system?
Very good question. Also very diverse answer. Sorry for being more elaborate here, but it really depends, again, on the customer setup. So it depends on what kind of ERP system they're using. If they have something like SAP, we have direct integrators with this, or Business Central, for example. So the big ones, we can basically dock in, and it's a 1 day, 2 days kind of implementation. But if it's something homegrown and we just need to figure out, okay, so how is this actually built? Because like we have an example in Germany, it was built 40 years ago and the person doesn't live anymore. So we had no one to tell us how basically to integrate with us. This can take a couple of weeks, of course. We will need master data records in order to be able to validate the information that we're extracting from documents, and then in exchange, we're returning some kind of structure output. So any system that has EDI or API connections, basically, we can integrate with seamlessly. It's usually a matter of like 2 to 4, maybe 6 if it's a very complicated structure, because we are always doing an evaluation first of how the process works right now and try to integrate as seamlessly as possible, or maybe even restructure where it needs restructuring, because very often the question asked is, why do you do it like this? And the answer is, because we've been doing it for 40 years. And that's usually not a good answer. So we provide as many expertise basically as possible while we're integrating our solution.
And how long did it take to expand to 150 companies?
So yeah, we were founded in 2019, so right before COVID. That was not a good timing, basically, but we made it through the crisis and basically caught up in 2022. So that's when we started picking up more customers, and I think we accelerated from around 80-ish something mid last year to 150 right now. So we're picking up quite fast. We've also just incorporated in the US and establishing our footprint in the US market as well. So that's also adding to the headcount of customers, basically. And just to give an input on this, like one customer really means just one name contracted. That might be up to 36 subsidiaries.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Another big round of applause for Workis. Okay, now let's welcome our next presenter from the Netherlands. It's Hydrix. All right, welcome to OSAKA Springboard. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Joran Tangelder, and I'm the founder of Hydrix. Today, I'm going to take you on a really short journey into the fascinating world of waste, a sector that is typically overlooked, has a ton of potential, classified as non-sexy, but that's exactly why it's so sexy. I want to take you back in time a little bit over a year ago, in July 2024, right here in Osaka. There was a large explosion at the Expo building site. There's quite an international group here, so I'm not sure that everyone knows about it, but the Expo is actually built on a former landfill. This generates methane leakage, and due to this methane leakage, there was a large explosion. So methane is not only a safety risk, and not only an overlooked opportunity, but also a big environmental concern. Landfills are responsible for 6% of climate change. Climate change is typically caused by two contributors. We have CO2, a lot of companies are focused on that, and methane. But methane is also a fuel. So why are we letting a fuel warm up our world instead of power our world? And then when you look at methane, roughly 20% of methane is caused by waste, resulting in 6% of climate change. 6% is more than aviation and shipping combined, yet a lot of people don't know about the massive damage these landfills are causing our world. When we talk about landfills, there are roughly two types of landfills. You have open dumps, which everyone knows well, pictures from India, Pakistan, even South America, and you have sanitary landfills. Sanitary landfills, they sound very clean. Unfortunately, they are not. To explain what's happening, I need to dive a little bit into the ways of working of a landfill. Here you see what the landfill is, a big mountain of waste. A lot of waste is accumulated and collected. Inside this pile of waste, there are pipes put in, which are called wells. And these wells have a very simple task, trying to collect the methane that's being produced. The methane is then collected to a central point by a blower. This blower creates a vacuum inside the landfill and tries to transport the gas to a central point. In a lot of countries, you are mandated to destroy methane with a flare. When you're destroying methane, you're getting CO2. CO2 is also bad, but 86 times less bad. And most countries also try to then generate revenue with this methane, with this fuel. So they have generators. However, the production that's happening inside this landfill is very volatile. You can kind of compare it to someone blowing bubbles inside this big mountain. And these pipes are trying to collect the bubbles as randomly as they appear. Because this production is so volatile, the generator switches off. It doesn't get enough energy, it then switches off. An operator is then sent onto the landfill with a handheld gas analyzer, and he walks from well to measure each well, and then to open or close the valves, hoping that the methane concentration comes back up, and he's able to switch on his generator again. However, this is a closed system, so if you open this valve, that will have effect on all the other valves. If the weather changes tomorrow, the methane production changes. It's a very dynamic system. So it's almost impossible for this operator to do this properly. So what do we do at Hydrix? We use the existing infrastructure, the cover layer that's on top of the landfill, the gas wells, and the generator, and we introduce a methane management system. Sounds very fancy. It's a bunch of sensors installed on each well, so it's hardware. They gas sample each well. We measure the methane concentration, the oxygen concentration, and the pressure. All that data is collected, sent to the cloud, and there we are able to optimize this existing system. Much like an energy management system you have for solar panels, batteries, we are now building an energy management system for landfills. With this methane management system, you're able to create a lot of upside opportunities within this landfill. So one, we're able to extract more methane from it. That has a clear benefit. We're also able to prove how much methane is being extracted, which adds opportunities for carbon credits. When we're able to control this landfill, you can almost see it as a battery. When energy prices are high, we're able to extract more methane from it. When they are low, the opposite. You kind of use the landfill as a buffer. And most importantly, we're able to create a very stable output of methane. The most valuable way of using the methane is by generating biomethane. It's a small factory that likes a constant input, and with our system, we're able to provide that constant and stabilized input. What does this look like in practice? On the right, you see our hardware. It's a sensor box with a bunch of different gas sensors, a small pump, connectivity, filters to clean the gas before we measure it. We install actuators on existing infrastructure. It's a very easy plug-and-play installation. All that data is then sent to the cloud, which you can see here. We have a nice map view. These operators now finally see this problem, which before was invisible. They see which wells are performing well. We're not trying to replace the operators, we're trying to make them more efficient. They can now start their day and find out where they need to spend their time in order to maximize the efficiency of their landfill. We have an algorithm running in the cloud. That algorithm uses energy forecasts, weather forecasts, and is able to optimize this landfill, sends back set points to the actuators every 15 minutes, and we're constantly optimizing where we extract the methane from, where do we apply the vacuum that's being created inside the landfill. What does this mean for customers? Well, one, they get a very nice dashboard that saves them a lot of operator time. But most importantly, we're able to almost halve emissions being caused by landfills. We introduce a subscription fee. Waste companies typically like to earn money and not spend it. By introducing a subscription fee, we're able to have a relatively low cost with an immediate benefit in terms of extra energy revenue. In short, that's my deep dive today. Our mission is to transform landfills and not see them as a source of emissions, but see them as a source of power. They need to be part of our climate infrastructure. And for that, we founded Hydrix. Because this is so relevant here in Osaka and for the expo, we're also organizing a deep dive tomorrow at the expo, 30 minutes. If anyone is there, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to send you an invitation to that event as well. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you. And let's give another big round of applause for Hydrix. Okay. All right, so there's a lot of reclaimed land here in Japan, a lot of waste being put down, so you're going to help that be a lot safer and generate revenue.
Yep,
sounds great. Okay, Brian Hidemi, what do you got?
Thank you. I have two questions. The first question is, how did you come up with tackling this methane management system, the background, the journey, the experiences that you have, and why is your methane management system the most efficient?
Good question. I have a strong background in energy management systems. I built energy management systems for 5 years for batteries, solar panels, EV chargers. They combine energy trading with real-time dashboarding, and everything's moving really quickly in that sector. And for some reason, there was none of that technology available at landfills. My co-founder actually found the sector. He was a consultant and had a very top-down approach to looking at a problem and finding a space that was lacking innovation. And when we started Hydrix, we interviewed all these operators, and we always asked the question, what's the last time that someone brought innovation to your sector? And they typically said 15 to 20 years ago. That, with my energy management system background, turned on a light and said we need to apply the same technology but in a different sector. What makes our methane management system most effective? There are two competitors in the US. They sell a system that is a capex investment. It's quite expensive, makes it a high barrier for them to sell their system. It's also over-engineered. It needs to be simple, it needs to be cheap. And we don't have they're basically creating a remote control for these operators. We're looking far more into the future. So we want to add energy prices, we want to add weather forecasting. We really want to maximize the value that this landfill has. It's not a mountain of waste, it's a mountain of energy. And you just have to untap that potential.
Great. And the second question is, can you elaborate a little bit more on the technology, the hardware as well? Is it, you said it's plug and play, the system. Yep. Is it the off-shelf that you built together, or is it something that you've developed more in-house with R&D that you've spent?
So we strongly believe that the fastest way to have an impact is to aggregate existing technology and move it towards a different sector. So the components in our sensor are off the shelf, purposely chosen and reliable components. We've then added them, and what we're mainly working on and doing R&D on is how do we then expose these components into landfills and how do we keep them working. Landfills are dirty, there's tough elements, so our R&D is mainly on making our off-the-shelf hardware as reliable and as cheap as possible.
Great, thanks, Joran. Just one question from me. So what would be the key success criteria where implementing Hydrix makes sense, right? Could it be size of landfill? Could it be energy prices? Could it be existing infrastructure or lack of? Could you just explain a bit more about that?
Yeah, so in the short term, we're really focused on countries that have these landfill extraction systems already in place. Makes it very easy for us to implement our technology. My goal really is to cover landfills in the future and to create a concept that is investable and that allows the infrastructure to be built in these locations. So in the long term, we're aiming to cover landfills and go to India, go to South America, and create this consortium. And because you're able to really control the output of these landfills, you turn them into energy plants, they become massively investable. And if you look at large landfills in India, if you cover 3 of them and do it properly, you offset the output of Singapore Airlines. That's only 3 landfills. I don't think that's a good reason to do it, but it makes it massively fundable. And that's the reason we're focused on build. This is Act 1. We're building sensors and really understanding the problem. And towards the future, Act 2, we're aiming to turn them into power plants.
Super inspirational vision. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
Okay, another big round of applause for Johan from Hydrix. Okay, 3 presentations down. We still have 7 more amazing companies to come. But now we're going to take a little bit of break, and we're going to move on to our keynote speech. I'm really super excited about this. We have Miss Jackie Cormel here to give us an eye-opening presentation on the current trends in the global future capital. So let's get ready and give a big round of applause for Miss Jackie Cormel. All right, Jackie, welcome to Osaka Springboard.
Thank you
Ready
so
to
much
tell
for
us all
having
about
me.
these great global venture capital trends.
Amazing, wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jackie Cormel. I'm Managing Director of Endeavor Catalyst. I've spent my career at the intersection of private capital and entrepreneurship. And I flew here on Sunday from San Francisco, California, where I live with my husband and 4 children. And as I was preparing the story that I'm going to tell you today about how venture capital has gone global and is going global, it got me thinking about the stories that my children enjoy. And right now, they are fascinated with Greek mythology. Do we have any Greek mythology enthusiasts in the audience? Okay, amazing. So the story that came to mind was the story of Prometheus. For the parallels that it has to the work that we're doing at Endeavor, and also to the story that I'm going to tell you today. So for those of you who are not familiar, Prometheus was a Titan. And one day he was up on Mount Olympus looking down at the human civilization, and he was watching them truly struggle. And so one day, against Zeus, who's the king of the gods' wishes, he stole a spark of flame from Mount Olympus and he delivered it down to the humans. Then he sat back and he watched as quickly the humans progressed. They were able to keep warm, they were able to make food and nourish themselves, they were able to bend metal, make tools to defend themselves, and they quickly became this thriving civilization. And so I was drawn to Endeavor for its mission. This is over a decade ago that I joined the organization to transform economies by selecting, mentoring, and investing in top founders around the world. And to me, the parallels that it draws to Prometheus is that we're essentially igniting this flame in emerging and underserved markets around the world by way of entrepreneurship. Endeavor currently does this work in over 45 markets around the world, spanning Latin America, the Middle East, Southeast Asia, Africa, and underserved parts of the US and Europe. And the founders we support are dreaming big. They're solving some of the world's toughest problems. For example, many of the founders that you've seen speak on this stage today, and they're creating the jobs of the future. And I help lead Endeavor Catalyst, which is the global investment fund of Endeavor that invests in the companies of these founders. As a global co-investment fund, we invest alongside some of the top funds in the world, names you might recognize like Sequoia, Andreessen Horowitz, General Atlantic, and others. And we've proven our model over more than a decade. We've raised over $540 million across 4 funds. We've made over 375 investments, of which more than 60 are valued at over $1 billion. And we've realized more than 30 exits to date. So this track record, these over 375 investments that we've made all over the world, provide a really unique vantage point for global entrepreneurship, and they also provide a really good jumping off point for the story that I'm going to tell you today. So it is said that in order to succeed in venture capital, you really only need to do two things. The first is you have to be contrarian. So you need to believe something that not everyone believes. And the second is you have to be right, in that order. And so at Endeavor, we believe in the potential of emerging markets. We believe in the power of entrepreneurs to change the world. And we believe that you can deliver top-tier venture capital returns by investing in emerging markets. And I say this because where I live in California, not everyone believes this. And we at Endeavor have proven this thesis right over and over again, but it is truly the result of a decades-long story. This is our contrarian belief. So to level set where we are, emerging markets represent 61% of the global population and 38% of global GDP, but only 8% of global private capital investment. This, to me, feels like an opportunity. And when we talk about the global private capital investment, that's the entire asset class, and where I'll focus today is on the venture capital component. So I'm going to tell you a story in 3 parts. First, we will look at how venture dollars are being invested in more places, specifically outside of the US. Then we'll look at how this funding is being translated into growth, specifically in the form of billion-dollar companies, or what we call unicorns. And finally, we'll look at exits and liquidity. Okay, let's look at how venture dollars are being invested in more places. So undeniably, 20 years ago, venture capital was predominantly a US industry. Over 90% of all venture capital dollars were being invested in the US, and a large majority of that in Silicon Valley. If you fast forward 10 years to 2015, you start to see things shifting. 30% of venture capital dollars were being invested outside of the US. Fast forward to 2025, today, and that model has tipped completely. 60% of all venture capital dollars are being invested outside of the US. 2018 was that year that it tipped. And this includes China, India, and all of the markets where Endeavor operates, which we call elsewhere. I like to start here because many of us still have this outdated mental model where we believe venture capital is still very much a predominantly US industry. And I'm here to tell you that in terms of the dollars being invested, it's already truly global. The 5 markets that have driven this rise of venture capital outside of the US include China, India, developed markets, and large markets in Europe, including Germany and the UK, and there's a very robust venture capital ecosystem in Israel. And Endeavor doesn't invest in these markets. We have a very small number of investments in emerging and underserved cities in the US, but 91% of our investments are outside of these top 6 established VC markets. We at Endeavor invest in the future. We believe that the future is elsewhere. So specifically, 40% of our investments are in Latin America, 17% in Europe, 16% in the Middle East, and then 8 and 11% respectively in Africa and Asia. And these are our fastest growing regions. And these are Endeavor Catalyst's top 10 markets. This is not in terms of performance, but this is in terms of dollars being invested and number of investments. You can see here Brazil is our largest and our #1 market, always has been, followed by Mexico. From Latin America, you also see Colombia and Argentina, and this represents Endeavor's long history in Latin America. That's where we started. You can see Indonesia here is our 3rd largest market. From the Middle East, we have Egypt, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia. And from Europe, we have Spain and Italy. What's not seen here are Endeavor's growing operations in places like Poland, Nigeria, and Japan. Okay, so let's move on to part 2. Part 2 is how do we measure success in something that takes 10 to 15 years to build? I don't know if any of you have heard the quote from Jeff Bezos, but it's an overnight success, 10 to 15 years in the making. And that is certainly true. It takes a long time to build this first generation of winners, particularly in emerging markets. And so today, what we're going to look at are unicorns as a proxy. And unicorns are private, billion-dollar-plus companies, typically 5 to 10 years old, that haven't reached that exit moment yet, but that are still very much building and growing. So the term unicorn was coined back in 2013 by Aileen Lee, she's a venture capitalist in Silicon Valley, in a TechCrunch article, actually that you can see right here on the screen. And at the time, there were 39 unicorns in the world, and 100% of them were in the US. 70% of those were in Silicon Valley. These are companies that you know and recognize, like Facebook and LinkedIn and Uber. But unicorns have followed capital, and they've become more global. Today, there are over 1,400 unicorns in the world, and only half of them are in the US. 20% are in China, another 5% in India, but 25% are in markets where Endeavor operates, or what we call elsewhere. And even though unicorns have proliferated, this is still a really hard thing to become. It's also a really hard thing to invest in. So the Kauffman Fellows did a comprehensive study of unicorn founders last year, and what they found was, of all the startups that raise venture capital, 1 in 140 goes on to be worth $1 billion or more. That's a 0.7% chance. This is a very hard thing to do. So if you're a founder and you're not worth $1 billion yet, or you're an investor and you haven't invested in $1 billion company yet, that is the statistically probable outcome. Just because there is more doesn't mean that it's easy. So this is an incredible milestone for companies to reach. It is also said that the job of a venture capitalist is not to see the future, it is to see the present very clearly. And what we see at Endeavor is more capital, more innovation, and more unicorns in more places. Okay, this brings us to part 3, exits and liquidity. A lot of people say, okay, unicorns are great, but that's on paper. What about realized returns? What about dollars in my pocket? Well, the good news is that exits have followed capital, becoming more global. And again, this takes time. What you can see here is the largest IPO in the history of the New York Stock Exchanges, which is Alibaba out of China. You have Spotify, an incredible global company originally from Sweden. Companies like Globant, which is a software company out of Argentina, that IPO'd on the New York Stock Exchange. It was actually Endeavor Catalyst's very first exit and one of our early investments. And what we found is that successful global exits typically fall into 2 categories. You have your regional winners, and then you have your global innovation comes from anywhere companies. And you'll see what I mean. You can think of the regional winners from China. These are your companies like Tencent and Alibaba, JD.com. Is that me? Apologies. But you also have regional winners from elsewhere. These are your Mercado Libres from Argentina. These are your Grabs from Singapore, Talabat out of the Middle East. Kaspi, which is a $20 billion company being built out of Kazakhstan. And then you have your global innovation comes from anywhere companies. So when I started at Endeavor over a decade ago, the one widely cited example of this was Skype out of Estonia. Today, we have so many examples. You have Atlassian and Canva out of Australia. You have Shopify out of Canada. You have UiPath out of Romania, for example. So the examples really do abound. So the hard part here is, how do we measure success in terms of exits and outcomes when we really don't have a great comprehensive data set? And the reason for this is that venture capital funds don't typically publish their performance data. So we have a fair amount of good data on dollars going in. We have a good amount of data on unicorns. But again, we don't have this comprehensive data set on performance. And so what I'm doing today is using a proxy. So we're going to look at the Forbes Midas list, which, if you are not familiar, it's an annual ranking of the top 100 venture capitalists in the world. And it's not a perfect ranking, none of these are, but what it does do is it gives us a pretty good idea of who's winning, who's doing the best at venture capital. And historically, this list has been predominantly US. But last year's Midas list in 2024, and we just refreshed this analysis for 2025, and it looks very similar, it was the most global in history. So 27 VCs, so about a third of the VCs on the list, were actually based outside of the US. This includes one in Latin America. This is actually our Endeavor board member, Nico Sikazi, from a fund called Kazek. You have 16 in China, 1 in Singapore, 6 in the UK. So this is also becoming increasingly global. And if you look at the deals that are driving these outsized returns, that have really put these investors on this Forbes Midas list and on the map, they're also increasingly global. You have Nubank, for example, out of Brazil. You have UiPath, which I mentioned earlier, out of Romania, Canva out of Australia, Didi, Revolut, etc. And so this concludes our story in 3 parts, but there's one thing that I want you to keep in mind, is that this story is far from over. So if we believe this is a 3-decade-long journey, and if we believe this started somewhere around 2010 in terms of venture capital truly becoming more global, we expect this to be fully, all the way through, fully global in 2040. So we're standing here at the midway point. So this takes a long time. So as we continue on this journey, there are 3 things to keep in mind. The first is this idea of geographic alpha. And shout out to our friend Alex Lazaro, who coined this term. But it's this idea that opportunities really do abound outside of the top 6 established VC markets. There is opportunity for contrarian, non-consensus, outsized returns to be had outside of the US. The second is that the VC power law is global. We firmly believe at Endeavor that winners will be bigger and more global than in previous eras. And finally, liquidity takes time. We live in an era of instant gratification where we can summon cars and groceries within minutes, but it's truly really important to remember that this first generation of winners in these markets takes 10 to 15 years to build. So I'll end with what we firmly believe at Endeavor, that talent is everywhere, success can come from anywhere, and we believe the future is elsewhere. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Jackie. Wow, that was a really, really interesting, informative presentation. We truly appreciate you coming here and sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Did not know that was so worldwide. Wow, great.
Thank
Fantastic. You. Okay, another big round of applause for Jackie from Endeavor. All right. Okay, everybody, you've heard 3 presentations. We still have 7 left, but we're going to take a quick 10-minute break, and we're going to kick off our next pitch session at 2:15. So make sure you're back here in 10 minutes at 2:15. それでは皆様、これから10分間の休憩をちょっと取らせていただきます。2時15分になりましたら、また席の方に戻ってください。Okay? I will see you back here in 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I hope you've had a nice break. We're now ready to continue with our next 7 pitches. And we're starting off with a group of startups out of Switzerland. So let's get started. Our next presenter is Avatronics. Please put your hands together. All right. Welcome to OSAKA Startup. Are you ready? OSAKA Springboard, okay?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ceyran Hezave. I'm co-founder, CEO of Avatronics, and we are a noise cancellation company. A lot of you here have listened to this pitch before, so you're very familiar with this picture. This is how the company started. At the beginning of Avatronics, well before that, me and my co-founder had a long trip to Asia. And I did the research on the best noise canceling headphone, and I chose what was supposed to be the best. 2 exact same pairs. We use it on the airplane. When you start playing with it for the very first time, it's very impressive. It does a really good job on the engine noise, but then every time a baby starts crying and you notice, you can hear everything. It really didn't make any sense to us. We looked at it and we noticed that there is a reason for that. Human ears can listen between 20 hertz and 20 kilohertz. That's what you see at the very bottom. Airplane noise is very loud, but it's only 1 kilohertz. It's very band limited. Human speaking around yourself, especially women, can reach up to 4 or 5 kilohertz, but when a baby starts crying, it reaches 8 kilohertz. This is nature's way of defending the child, basically. Anything you put on your ears passively can get rid of the high frequencies. Your hands, a cheap headphone, a pillow, you can just get rid of the high frequencies, but there is a limitation on how much low it can come. Active noise cancellation is what is used for the lower frequencies, so basically canceling the noise with the exact opposite anti-noise. This also has limitation. So you can see in the middle, there is a gap that everything can be heard, even with the best noise canceling headphone today. We noticed that just with the software upgrade, we can cover this gap, basically. So this is how we started, and that was targeting the consumer electronic type of headphones. But today we noticed that we can solve noise issues for more than 2 billion devices in 3 different categories. The first one naturally would be hearables, basically everything and anything you put on your ears. And this is just not noise cancellation. You can pick and choose what you want to hear, what you don't want to hear. If you want noise cancellation, you can have it. If you want natural transparency, meaning that you're sitting somewhere without any noise, you want to hear everything, you can have that. And something in the middle, in the noisy environment, you can just hear the speech of people in front of you and not actually have to be bothered by the noise around you. The second sector would be microphone. Any device that has a microphone for recording or for calls and communication in noisy environment can use what you call microphone denoising. So it can have a proper kind of noise recording or the calls, communication, whatever you name it. And there are lots of different devices in this category as well. And last one before I forget, come back. It's not coming back, okay. Would be for the seats, in mobility specifically. In the seats of the cars, airplanes, and trains, you can have speakers in the headrest and basically have a quiet ride. And this also is a very growing sector. Basically, the technology is embedded software. Any device these days has a processor. We embed our software inside that processor and work with the sensors around it. The customers for us would be OEM, ODMs, basically the factories that generate these things, and the semiconductor manufacturers that provide these kind of CPUs and processors to these sectors. Basically, as I said, more than 2 billion devices is something that we can address with this for the total market, and it's growing. And if you, for example, give me a headphone today, and if I have a software upgrade on it, I can make it on average 10 times better. So it's better experience, better quietness, with less number of resources. And as for protection, it's already patented. We have 2 patents covering including Japan, and we have some internal know-hows in the company. And the business model is very simple. It's licensing, and it's B2B. And before I say, you look at this and say, how can you, address these many products and markets? The very core is the same. It's a combination of AI, edge AI, and signal processing. We just adapt it to whatever application that we have. We are generating revenues. We have signed licensing deals already with some of the biggest players in the market. In each and every sector, we are working with at least one in top 5. And here you can see some of the examples. From right to left, obviously, we started with the consumer electronic headphones. And we have 3 headphones coming to the market starting this fall. And naturally, the semiconductor companies are very active in this area. They want to sell more and more chips to the sector, so they are looking for software and options that will make their hardware much better. Again, already we have 1 signed licensing agreement. We have 2 partnerships, which we are trying to turn into signed licensing agreements. And from there on, these are just some examples that are very interesting. For example, the middle one is smart hearing protection for one of the largest mining companies in the world. What they wanted to do was for truck drivers. They wanted to make sure that they are protected from the noise, because these are the machines that hit the rocks, and it's very loud, very hot, not comfortable. And they needed to listen to 2 types of radios at the same time in the cabin. So what we provided was a very light and not actually hot kind of hearing protection that was allowing this kind of like, speech from the radios coming in. And then we have a medical grade kind of hearing aid, very normal looking earbud that you can use as hearing aid as well. So for people who have mild to moderate hearing loss and they do not want to be looking like someone who is having a medical grade hearing aid, you can have this as well. And as I mentioned, we have activities and pilots in the mobility areas, including some players here in Japan. And of course, in the other areas, we have some top companies in the Japanese market that we are communicating with. And basically growing. So it has been a very interesting journey that we have had, lots of different markets that we cover, and we are very happy to have this opportunity. And I believe that was my last slide. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Sharon. Fantastic. Wow, I love my noise canceling headset. And if it could be 10 times better with just software upgrades, that's amazing.
It is.
Covering those other ranges as well? Okay. All right, let's dig more into that with Brian and Hidemi.
Thank you, Jaron. It brings me back. I used to be with Intel more than a decade ago, so good to see embedded IP still alive and well. Wanted to understand a bit more about your ask. So if you could speak to investors, corporates here in this audience here, what would you ask for, and how might you want to further your journey here in Japan?
I appreciate your question. We will be opening the round A of financing this fall. Basically, we have commitments from existing investors and some not lead investors. We are looking for the lead. We have some options, but we are trying to choose the best possible combination of the investors for our portfolio. So if there is anyone here who is interested in, this is what we call deep tech and also, in my opinion, hard tech. So if anyone is interested in this kind of journey, we are more than happy to have a talk. Also, we have a very small bridge that we are filling, and only just probably less than 5% of it is remaining. So it's something that also is available for discussions as well as a very good valuation.
Thank you. And one last question from me. How does it compare when you think about power management and also when you think about unit economics of what goes into $10 headphones versus your Apple AirPods, for example?
That's also a great question. Thank you very much for that. In terms of power consumption, well, as I said, it gets embedded on the chip that is already there. So you cannot load it more than what it can actually offer to you. So it is one-on-one, if you say, for the amount of noise that you're reducing. It's sometimes even less. And in terms of bill of material, I have to say, compared to some of the best in the market, Bose, Apple, and Sony, those usually use more chips and more resources. We can do it only with one chip. So whatever that is there for the Bluetooth connectivity, that's the one that we use. So it's much cheaper and lower consumption in that sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaron. On top of that, do you have data on, or do you, how you would tailor it for the products and applications and the scale for that, and your preference maybe in the effectiveness of your the product?
I can give you an example. For example, let's say headphone. Headphone is the one everyone understands pretty well. So most of our customers already have a noise canceling headphone. They come to us with whatever they have. We have a characterization system in the lab. So we look at the whole thing together. It's not that the speaker is different, the microprocessor is different, and so on and so forth. We bring everything to our characterization setup. And it takes us probably 2 to 3 weeks in some cases, because it's an iterative kind of a way, and there is a lot of training to do to come up with the engine that is providing the best noise canceling headphone for that hardware itself. And then, as I said, the semiconductor is very important. We have ported our technology to almost all of the important ones that everyone is using, which is ready. And then we just, do a one-on-one translation or mapping to whatever that is given to us, and then that would be the device that they use. We prefer to start with the semiconductor companies because that's where the volume is. And then they would be the ones who go after all the customers, big and small, and work with them. And that's why we are trying to have more licensing deals in those areas. But having said that, like the biggest OEMs in the market that those are the ones that semiconductor companies want to achieve, are the ones that they can say, okay, we want to work with Avatronics, so we want to see this technology. So it gives us kind of a back and forth between the two. And in many cases, our partners are the ones that take us to these companies, or the companies, the end customers are the ones that ask our partners, okay, we want this technology. So it is creating a kind of a perfect storm for us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Another round of applause for Jayran from Avatronics, making the world sound better. Okay, and let's now welcome our next Swiss presenter. We present to you Noviz. Welcome to Osaka Springboard. Okay.
Hi.
Are you ready to tell us?
Is it working?
Yes, that's working.
Okay, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Well, the lights are on. Yeah. So I'm Andrada, CEO and co-founder of Novoviz. So imagine a world where imaging sensors can see what human eyes cannot see. So, for example, detecting the tiniest details in complete darkness. Detecting molecules that are moving at very fast speeds, or even products on the assembly lines that are moving at blazing speeds. That's possible. So at Novoviz, we are empowering different industries to have access to cutting-edge technology nodes, imaging technology nodes. So every day, equipment manufacturers, automakers, robotic firms, they are dealing with some problems in the imaging sector, and that's because the cameras that are using cannot see in complete darkness, cannot detect flaws in the system, cannot see through fog on harsh conditions, and they are losing millions, and that's really problematic. So pay attention to the fact they are using conventional cameras that are actually based on legacy sensors. And it's still not possible because the standard is not good enough. And this hinders problems in various sectors, such as automotive, space, medical sector as well. So now we have access to this technology, which is called single photon technology, and maybe we don't have to pay attention to the terminology so much. But the idea behind this is the fact that you can use this technology to image through complete darkness at very high speeds and have high dynamic range, and also image while the sun is up, so it doesn't saturate the photodetector. So you have everything actually integrated in a single solution. So it seems fantastic, and maybe you are wondering why this is not yet available off the shelf, and why don't we already use this? Well, this is actually the reason. So what you see on the right side is basically a camera I developed during my studies, and this is how a single photon avalanche diode camera looks like. A scientific system that's very bulky, and usually it's coupled with external electronics, a huge FPGA. I mean, you can see it compared to what I show on the right side of the image, and it's the camera that we offer at Novoviz, the one that I'm holding in my hand. It's like just 3 by 3 by 3 centimeters cube, operates at 100 million frames per second, and it's the highest speed and the smallest size on the market, and it's just USB. So you just plug in and play to your computer, you have a graphic user interface, and you get information from the camera. On the other side, it's bulky system, complex, very difficult to use. So this is what we do at Novoviz. We make this available off the shelf. We give access to this technology. Through our unique patented technology, which is called computation on chip, computational single photon imaging sensors. So the idea is that we move all the extra electronics that you saw in the previous picture, we move it in silicon. So we are a fabless semiconductor company, so design imaging sensors. And you have here a picture of the photodetectors that we have. And by doing this, we slash the cost barriers by 20 times. So we reduce the bill of materials of such a system by 20 times, which is a lot. We launched our first line of products in November 2024. And we are already generating sales. We are not camera manufacturers because I talked a lot about the camera, but it's not just the camera. We offer actually the single chip, which is, let me see if I can, yeah, this one. It's not really to scale, but it's very, very small. So the idea behind this is that you can buy the camera if you need a plug-and-play solution. But if you need like large volumes and mass production, you have access to the single chip. And in addition to that, we have the development modules, which are not cameras, but are arrays, are basically different configurations of these detectors that you can integrate in various systems, because not everyone needs a camera. So the global demand on the imaging sensor sector is very high, but if we talk specifically about this technology, it's forecasted to increase in 2024, from 1.2 billion USD dollars to 10 billion USD dollars by 2035. And this is driven mostly by inspection monitoring sector, automotive sector, and the medical sector as well. We have been supported through our journey. We are quite a young company. We have been incorporated in 2024, but we started our journey from 2023 because we already have products on the market, and we've been supported by various ventures and programs along the way, and we have raised in total 1.8 million USD dollars. So this allowed us to come with our first line of detectors, our first camera on the market, and also secure the process and the fabrication for the second line of products that will be launched in January 2026. So it's already under fabrication. We are raising, we will be raising at the beginning of 2026, and that's because we have to expand. You can imagine that this industry is super expensive, and we talk about semiconductors industry here, because we want to increase the manufacturing capability. We want to expand to the megapixel level, so we want to create computational imaging sensors, single photon imaging sensors at the megapixel level and maybe 3D integrated, and also partner with industrial players. Our camera is not only on Earth, it is also in space. We launched the camera to the first SPAD, the first camera with this technology. We launched it in March 2025, this year. And maybe the question behind is why, because I didn't talk about space so much. Well, the idea is that we wanted to prove the robustness and the reliability of this technology. And space is a sector, like a side business sector for us. So we passed all the pre-launch, post-launch tests of this camera. So this proves the reliability and robustness of our technology. And yes, the mission, the goal is to make this technology available off the shelf and make precision vision accessible to everyone, unlocking a multi-billion-dollar industry. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. NovaViz, fantastic. Wow, making things easier to be seen on Earth and in space. Okay.
Well, yeah, hopefully.
Fantastic, okay. All right, Brian and Amy, what do you want to know?
Thank you. My first question will be, can you elaborate maybe on the first product that you're introducing, how it works, and how it's made, or how it's effective and better?
Where should I point with this one? Right here, right? Yes, so we don't have a first product. We have a first line of products, and it's really struggling. Okay, yeah, so you asked me how it's working, right? So it's simply a small camera that you can put it on a payload. You can put it in whatever. The idea is our B2B model is we work with equipment manufacturers. For example, you can integrate it on your drone. And the idea behind it is that it can see in complete darkness and capture very fast objects moving. Like imagine, I can't give a name, but actually we were working with a racing company. They wanted to inspect the quality of the roads, and basically the camera was like on the bottom of the car to see if there are any obstacles and what's the quality of the road itself. Another example would be, so that I make it a bit more tangible for the audience, is inspecting food quality, like grain sorting. They are also very fast process. Maybe you don't need it complete darkness, but you can use, you can get rid of the light that's in the system on the assembly line, and just because this one operates at 100 million frames per second, you have like the rice beans or I don't know, the coffee beans that are passing by, and you can just already see the defects of each grain and select it. And yeah, this is how the camera works. The sensor is what's embedded in the camera. It just gives you access to high volume. So probably, let's say, we talk with an endoscopy firm. They need first people buy the camera, test the technology, and then we are talking about volumes. Yeah.
Thank you. And in addition to that, would it complement with the other technologies to sensor or to see in the darkness, or would we not need that anymore? The weather conditions, temperature, and all that.
No, so this is not a replacement for all. So it is an addition, and it also, in some scenarios, yes, you can get rid of some sensors. So for example, in space they are using a specific type of photodetector for bright conditions, then a specific type of photodetector for dark conditions. Combine offline the images from these two and get the final picture. What you can do, in that case, you can use just one photodetector, like this one, because this one sees in bright and dark conditions. But then, if we talk about other processes, for example, imaging through fog, or like for firefighters that have to see through really, really harsh conditions, in that sector, you still need some other cameras. On a car as well, it doesn't replace all the imaging sensors on the car. It just simply, added more benefits to it. In some cases it does, it replaces, in others it doesn't. So it really depends from case to case.
Thanks. Two questions from me. One is, I noticed that you didn't mention military or defense use cases, which I thought would be...
On point. I didn't mention it because I didn't want to mention it, yes. But it's of interest, yes. Sorry, I didn't let you finish your question.
No, I was just wondering why you didn't mention it.
Why I didn't mention it? Because it's a sensitive subject. But, since you put me on the spot, yes, it can be used in defense for tracking moving objects. I can't disclose any names. We have not yet collaborated with the defense, but yes, it's actually one of the main industries.
Okay, great, thank you. And last question is, with the single photon detection and so on and so forth, what happens with the data processing and the data storage?
That's the thing with the computation on chips. So in our case, actually, that's the patented and the strong point for us. Thanks for mentioning it, because probably it just slipped me through my presentation. Okay, never mind. So basically, we move the processing, post-processing as much as we can in silicon, as you can see right here. So if you look at the camera that I was showing it and I was holding in my hand, it already gets rid of FPGAs and so on, external electronics. So basically, as much as post-processing as possible, we move it in the silicon itself. So the goal is to make it user-friendly, easy to integrate, and general. Like you can think of the ARM processor with a photodetector next to it. So this is why we do what we do. This is how we reached the speed that we reached, 100 million frames per second, because we moved the post-processing in silicon. Otherwise, it's not possible to come out with so much data, and that's one of the bottlenecks of the industry.
Great, thank you.
Sure, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Another round of applause for Novoviz. Okay, continuing on, we'll now welcome our next presenter, also from Switzerland. Welcome, Flogan. All right, welcome to the stage. Welcome to Osaka Springboard. Are you ready?
I am ready. I'm ready. I should put my sunglasses on.
Take it away.
I can't see anybody here, but that's fine. Right. Well, good afternoon. Thank you for staying awake. I'll try to keep it that way. Flogen is Swiss. I'm British, and I live in Osaka. My co-founder is German, and he lives in Lugano, which is just Switzerland. It's unique, and I'll try to convince you that it's unique over the next 6.5 minutes. So We have patented technology, which we created ourselves for the design of the rotor and the production process for the rotor for the wind turbine. And from this flows a number of significant technical benefits. We produce a 5-diameter rotor, which is very small in the wind turbine business, and from that, we produce 15 kilowatts of energy. 15 kilowatts of energy is impossible for any other small wind turbine. Generally, you would need 8 to 10 meters diameter. That adds weight, it adds bulk. So what we have is a highly efficient, over 50% energy conversion efficiency. That is, for those of you who don't know wind, the same as a big wind turbine. We are certified by Windtest Grevenbroich in Germany as the most efficient small wind turbine on the planet. We manufacture the majority of the body and the rotor in carbon fiber, and we have the lightest unit on the market. Our generating unit weighs 200 kilograms. Our nearest competitor weighs 600. So we take this wind turbine technology, and let's see if we can make the laser work. We combine it. So what you see here is a 40-foot container with 2 wind turbines, solar on the roof, and battery storage between 22 kilowatt hours and 70 kilowatt hours inside. This is a totally independent mobile green energy center. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Of course, we can fit standalone wind turbines on roofs because we only weigh 200 kilograms, and we have a very compact design. We can combine with solar, and we can scale from kilowatt to megawatt. So we currently have in design a 3.6 megawatt capacity unit for the port of Emden in northern Germany. So we are efficient, light, scalable, and very rapid to install. I'll switch on to the next slide. These are our key points. I've covered some of them already. Basically, there are only 2 real key points. The key point, technically, is that we have massively efficient energy conversion. And the second key point is that we can mass produce. So almost everybody involved in FlowGen comes from the automotive industry. And after we'd finished designing the wind turbine, we said, okay, it's no good if you just make a few hundred a year. That's going to have no impact at all. So we designed a mass production process, which is patented, for which we own the tooling, and for which we subcontract the manufacturing. So we've already run this process at full rate. We produce a rotor every 10 minutes with our subcontract partner. The other components within the system, ignoring the container and things like that, come from extremely well-known manufacturers. Siemens, Schaeffler, Toray is our sub... Oops, I've gone the wrong way. How do I go back? Siemens is our inverter supplier. Schaeffler is our powertrain supplier, if you like, the generator. Toray is our subcontract manufacturer, but also our carbon fiber supplier. So right through the chain of the components of the manufacturing, we're able to deliver in volume. That means that the huge potential that there is for distributed energy, replacing diesel generators across the world, we can access, we can do that. We can produce enough wind turbines to make a significant difference, not just a small difference over a few years. If I give you a reference figure, the National Research Energy Laboratory in the United States estimates that there's the potential to install, in the Midwest of the United States alone, 1 terawatt of small wind capacity. And when we say small wind, we're talking about 3 kilowatts to a megawatt, roughly, or 100 kilowatts. So let's say 100 kilowatts. But we can access both the kilowatt scale and the megawatt scale. So we can go up to 1.5 megawatts easily. So we can supply a significant amount of that demand. The only constraint is money and production capacity, which is why we're here today. Okay. We have installed capacity. I think I've got a slide that shows some of the install. Yeah, here we go. Right, so I'll answer the defense question immediately. We supply the Ministry of Defense in the UK. We're in discussions with NATO, and we're in discussions with the American, various arms of the American military. We have a demonstrator which successfully outperformed the criteria of the Ministry of Defense, installed in the UK. One of the criteria was mobility. We don't, because we're so efficient, because we have a small mast, we don't have to anchor our wind turbine in a big lump of concrete in the ground. So what you can see here, let's say, oh, I've gone the wrong way, wrong button. Okay, what you can see here is a 20-foot container deliverable by helicopter, 2 wind turbines, 10 kilowatt peak of solar, and a probably it's a 30 kilowatt hour battery. You can see here that it's not buried in the ground. It's anchored by a mat which is underneath the container. We installed this in half a day. And we can uninstall it equally rapidly. We've already moved our containers from place to place. We will move this unit from, here we go, I got the right thing, from a military Air Force base to a naval location to complete the evaluation. Very, very good feedback. Other units that we have, Munich Airport, we have a biomethane facility in northern Germany. Which one is Emden? Maybe this is the Port of Emden. So the Port of Emden, we've installed initially a container with 2 wind turbines and solar, very, very good feedback. The idea is then to roll out with another 240 wind turbines in arrays around the port, which will produce 3.6 megawatts of energy capacity. Interesting fact about the, well, I think it's interesting, you probably don't. An interesting fact about Munich is that the driving factor for choosing a mobile green energy unit was lack of grid capacity. So they were completely maxed out on the capacity available from the electricity grid, and so they simply installed one of our units for charging electric vehicles. They were previously shipping electric vehicles 20 kilometers up the road. They stopped doing that, and they do it on the spot now. There are numerous use cases and motivations for using this technology. But really, one absolute key point is that we're mobile, which means that we can very easily do a leasing model. So one of the things that we're looking for money for is actually to fund the creation of a fleet to really move forward with the leasing model. And we are the only people who can do that in this combination of wind, solar, and battery. I think I've got, okay, a little bit. As you can see, some facts. We have a very good return on investment. We have a significant pipeline. And really, as I said, we have the manufacturing capacity. The demand is there. The question is, you know, how can we fund the ramp up? How quickly can we do it? And obviously, fast is good. Does this red thing mean I've gone over time? Yes. Okay, I'll stop. Good. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Big round of applause for Flogan. Okay, all right. Now let's open up to our commentators to dig a little bit more with their feedback and questions.
Thanks, David. Just one question from me. You mentioned lightest, cheapest, highly scalable, super efficient conversion, get all of that. What about cost efficiency, and how does it compare per kilowatt or kilowatt hour produced?
Well, it's around, obviously it depends on how much wind you have. Let's say an ideal use case for us would be, for example, an oil rig or a gas rig, where you have constant, really good wind. Our nominal output is 15 kilowatts. We've measured 25 kilowatts from that kind of thing. So the cost, the levelized cost of energy would be probably 8 cents per kilowatt hour, something like that. And the payback would be incredibly quick. It would be about 2 years. Other use cases, we go sort of between 10 and 15 cents per kilowatt hour. And in some cases, that's viable. In some cases, it's not. if you think about the total market for distributed energy globally, most of the energy sources now are diesel. The levelized cost of energy for diesel generators is about 60 cents per kilowatt hour. So we are way, way, way cheaper and actually much easier to, we have almost no maintenance. So one of the features of the cost of maintaining a diesel generator is constant maintenance, replacement parts, cost of diesel from the diesel mafia, all that kind of thing. So in that area, we're very competitive. In some areas, we're not competitive. In most areas, we're competitive enough to make it a good purchase.
Thank you, David. You answered some part of my question as well, but maybe if you can elaborate on the potential of your wind turbines, the light efficiency, the mobility. Well, what's the potential? Like, what's the ideal places to be? You mentioned oil grid and where it's off grid. Maybe if you can elaborate on other places as well. And also, if it's mobile, is it more temporary, or how do you see how long it'll be installed in one location and the leasing business model?
Okay. So point number one, which some people overlook, is the best place to put a sort of hybrid green center with wind turbines is a windy place. There are areas where it's ironic that we're a Swiss company, but Switzerland is not a very good place for wind energy. It's relatively low wind. It's in the middle of the continent. There's lots of wind on top of the mountains, but nobody is there to use the electricity. So Switzerland would not be a great place. But all along the coast of Europe is excellent. The American Midwest is excellent. Places where you don't have enough room for solar, that's also a good use case. Solar is very extensive. We use a little bit of it to give consistency of energy supply, but not a large amount of solar. Great places to install would be the top of this building. We'd like to cover the roof with solar and wind turbines. In Japan, that's a little difficult because people are risk averse, but in other countries, that is feasible, and we're doing layouts for installation on existing structures. Going to the leasing model, the Ministry of Defense looked for three suppliers to provide a leasing model mobile unit. They couldn't find them. It was only us. What we're discussing now with construction companies in the US and in the UK is a maybe 2-year placement of a leased unit, which we can then take back and move to another area. They can buy it if they want and move it around themselves, but most people would prefer to lease it, have us do the maintenance, installation, take it away when it's finished, like a diesel generator. But you could leave it there for 20 years. I mean, it's got a 20-year life, 25-year life. The other market that we're looking at is replacing existing failed wind turbines. So there are a lot of wind turbines around various countries where they've ended their life prematurely, and we can put a more efficient unit on for a relatively low cost.
Thank you, David.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, David. And another big round of applause for Flogan. Okay, continuing on with our Swiss companies, our next presenter is, put your hands together for Keto Dynamics. All right, welcome to Osaka Springboard.
Hello, everyone.
Ready for your presentation? Okay, you're on.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm Alberto Hernando. I'm co-founder and CEO of Keto Dynamics. We are in the future of location intelligence. That's what we say. Location intelligence has to do with anything that is related with knowing which is the best location for your business, for your event, for anything related with that. How many people goes in a particular place, how many people is moving from one place to another. Uber wants to know how many people is traveling. A mall wants to know how many people goes to the mall, how many people goes to the competitor's mall, so that they can do business intelligence on top of that. No? There are many different data sources for this, and there are many ways to have an idea how many people was in a place, but there are some problems with that. There are those many databases, but it's hard to put them together. Sometimes they come from different technologies, different ways to measure the people, so they don't match. Then you need data experts on top of that to make sense of the data, and also how to apply to your particular use case. So now, even if there are many different sources on that, it's really complicated for a normal business to make sense of all this information, all this data that is available. And that's the problem that we solve. And how we solve it, it comes from physics. I'm actually a theoretical physicist, quantum physics. I was working for 10 years in research. And we had this same problem, right? But we were dealing with the movement of particles and atoms. And we were developing technology, we were developing solutions in order to make sense of all the data that we were having from the experiments and from the apparatus that we were using there, right? So we defined some software, we developed some software, we have the patent on that, and we had the idea of what if we use it for the movement of people instead of the movement of particles and atoms. And that's how Dynamics was born. So basically, we took these efficient algorithms, all this artificial intelligence to make sense of it, and giving access to the business in order to use that. So what we are doing now, our solution is that you don't need a data scientist because we incorporated GPT, so you can make natural questions. You can just ask which is the best location for opening a new Starbucks, or I'm doing this event, which is the best location for this concert. And you get a response, you get a full report or a full dashboard on the particular use case that you are needed. And what is behind is a system that you have reliable data that is coming from these different sources, mainly from mobile phone networks. We work with the main mobile phone operators in each country. We put together all the activity of the mobile phones in order to make sense. We aggregate it, it's fully anonymized. We aggregate it, and we get all the movements of how many people was moving from one origin to a destination, how many people was in a particular place. We combine it with other sources like satellite imagery. We also have artificial intelligence to count how many cars we see in the streets, so we use it to calibrate it. And also we have partnership with MasterCard that also allows to have access to the use of credit cards. So we put all this data together with this interface with GPT and artificial intelligence so that any business has these results very available and inexpensive so that can start using location intelligence for their business intelligence, right? This is an example of what we do with these satellites. We've been working with the European Space Agency for 3 years now. So we take this high-resolution imagery. We count how many dots we see, how many cars we see in the street, how many people we see in the beach. We are working in Spain with the Balearic Island in order to measure the presence in each of the beaches, in the beaches they have. Combine it with the mobile phones, then we calibrate, and we know how many people was going to every of these spots, and they can use it for making decisions on tourism, for retailers, for public transportation, and so on, right? So at the end, we reconstruct the full traffic at every street, every road. This is an example of Doha in Qatar, where we are also deployed. And you can see the intensity of the traffic here. No? The lighter, the more traffic, the darker, less traffic. So we can provide at any time, at any road, or estimation of the traffic, of the road traffic that was there, but also the foot traffic, how many people was in a car, or it was walking, or micromobility, any of these modes of transportation, right? So to give an idea of the use cases, Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo, they are our clients. They are using it for tourism. So we measure all the tourists that are going to the city because we can differentiate residents from visitors. So they use it in order for resources management, and also the impact of the campaigns for tourism, and also if it's growing, if it's going down, all these trends. But for instance, Klépierre is a big chain of malls in Europe. They have hundreds of malls, so they can also measure the performance of the mall on how many people is going to that mall, how long they spend there, what's the frequency of the people going there, but also they can select the competitor's mall. So they can have exactly the same information, but from the competitors. So they can know how to do the marketing in order to attract more clients, right? Uber is our client as well. For them is to see the trend and compare with their own market share. So for instance, if the number of trips is going down, they compare with the total number of trips. And if the total is also going down, they know that, okay, they are not losing market share, it's just a trend, right? But if the number of trips is constant and they are going down, then they know they are losing market share. And also, we have many clients on the outdoor marketing because we can measure the audience of a particular advertisement in the street. And we want to become the standard, and in many countries in Latin America, we are already the standard because all companies in outdoor marketing are coming to us to have the same standard for the audiences. So for their clients, they show consistency in because they base the pricing precisely on that, on the number of people watching this app. So we are becoming international, we are becoming global. We have a lot of interest in Japan. I think that there is a lot of things to do here, and that's basically it. So thank you very much. If you have any question, happy to respond. Yeah.
Okay, let's put your hands together for Keto Dynamics. Now we're going to jump over to our commentators for their feedback and questions. Okay, Hidemi and Brian.
Thank you for the presentation. So my understanding is that your solutions, it would provide to, for example, stores and restaurants, as well as maybe companies trying to think of urban design or for traffic security and concerts. And what is your business model? That's my first question.
Yes, we sell subscriptions because everything is online, everything is in the cloud, so the client doesn't need to install anything. So they buy subscriptions for a year for the locations they are interested in and the number of KPIs they are interested. So the pricing depends on that, this number of locations and the number of KPIs, and it's a subscription based. They pay monthly in order to have access to this information.
Thank you. And my second question would be, how do you differentiate maybe your data sourcing compared to the other these solution providers?
Yeah, I think that because we are combining different data sets, the quality is the highest in the sense that, for instance, we have the mobile phone operators. So the data is based on the antenna that your mobile phone is connecting, right? And from just one single source, you have access to millions of users in the entire country. So probably you have already 30% of all the population in that country that is a huge database, right? You have to scale it to total population, right? And that's how we have these other sources that allows to give the numbers with respect to the total population, even if it's only 30% of the market share that you have in your database. So I think that the quality that we are providing is of the highest. We are working with Eurostat in Europe, that they are the official office for statistics. And we are using that because they want to integrate the data for the census. So we are working with them together in order to keep the highest standards in terms of the quality of the statistics. And that they also use it for the floating population, because that's what's missing in a regular census. So I would say that we are actually even better than the census, because we see the people that is moving and is living for 3 months in a place and coming back, while the census data is for the entire year, right? There are other data sources like the apps from KPIs, from the apps. When you are using an app and they are getting your GPS position, the problem is that you get data only when people is using the app, and you don't have, and the market share is typically low, that 1% or something like that. So you have like very few data points, so the quality is really low in comparison with what we are doing. It's probably cheaper because the quality is questionable. But in that sense, we are sure that we are providing the highest quality that exists right now. Yeah,
thank you. Can I have one clarification and then one
Sure.
question as well? Is it correct to say then that most of the use cases are outdoors tracking instead of
Yes.
indoors as well?
Yes, because indoors it works if we are talking something like a mall, that you have the detail of how many people is in that area. If you really want to count how many people enter into a shop, the best solution is to have computer vision of some IoT in the location in order to count. The problem is that you know nothing about the people that is there or the frequency, right? You don't know how it correlates with other sensor in other place, if it's the same person or not, or next day if it's the same person coming back. No? So we put all that into context because we can identify residents, workplace, and how many times they go to the same place. So we give all this context. And actually, we collaborate with companies that have these IoTs in order to count the people explicitly in the shop, so that we provide the outdoors, they have the indoors, and then you have a full picture of the situation. Yeah.
Got it, thank you. And my question is, what do you think is your strongest use case or the highest value use case? Because your technology can be used in multiple ways.
Yes, right now it's tourism, and it's a contrast with government. This is Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, Madrid in Spain, Balearic Island, Costa del Sol, like really top touristic destinations. But I think that retail is growing a lot because they are getting used to the data. We simplify the interaction with the data because the GPT and this human interaction. So now they are adopting the technology much easier than before, that they didn't have the data scientists or the experts in order to process that. No? But now that we are making it easier, I think that in the next years, retailers are going to use it massively.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, another big round of applause for Keto Dynamics. Thank you so much. Okay, next up, unfortunately, one of our Swiss startups was not able to be with us here today, so we have a company from Germany that is going to be joining us. So let's welcome, put your hands together for Life. Wow, a cute teddy bear has joined us here. Okay, thank you so much. Welcome to Osaka Springboard.
Hello, good evening. Good evening. Not in German time, not. We are here in Osaka, so good afternoon. My name is Holger Dornieden. I'm the co-founder of Life. And at Life, we build different kinds of products using voice AI. I first want to introduce you to NextNode. This is a device where you can use it for production, productivity, and also for translation. We built some things by myself, 300 different kinds of products on different markets in China produced, and the main problem was that you go to a fair, you speak not the language, and you have trouble. For this is also a problem that when you use normal translation services, you have the big partners and AI companies will steal your information, so you have to make sure that this information will be on premise. Also, the Japanese government said already to the companies in Japan that they have to be aware of this problem. For our solution, it is that we combine it in a device and we build a base station where you have on-premise the cleaning of the data so that you, for example, the use case is for a doctor and a patient. There is the patient information is cleared by the base station and then is already sent to the private cloud. There will be these operations, for example, note-taking and documentations. And it is on-premise, and we have different kinds of use cases. The most what we are seeing is in the medical field and also with law firms. For sure, this is a huge market. Everything is already on the train. You see note-taking devices, but the problem is you don't know where the data goes. So with our solution, it's on-premise, and you have secured your data. For the cost-saving part, when you go to a fair, we calculate this as a cost because you don't need any translation anymore, because we will add real-time translation to this device for Japanese language, for Korean, and for German to English. So we see different kinds of use cases and markets, always where sensitive data is used, and also where you have the things or where you have to take notes. We are a team of 15 people, and we already have experience in this market. We will build this on-premise device with NVIDIA We are on the program from NVIDIA, so we are talking with them what kind of chipset we really have to use to get to this use case, that it's really on-premise. You can test our solution for translation on this QR code, and there you see how we work. And now we come why we have this teddy bear on the stage. Because in the meantime, we're thinking that already when you use somebody and you have AI, and we come from the field that we build music with AI, we built this device and the app for people like, for example, a business traveler, go to a fair and held a speech, like we call her Jackie, and Jackie has some children at home, and the children like to listen at bedtime to a story of, for example, Prometheus. We built an application where we clone the voice of Jackie, send this voice with an AI-generated storytelling to a speaker. And the speaker is the kid's speaker. The data will transfer to the speaker and will store on the speaker. Why we built our own speaker? Because we don't find any speaker with memory in the market. You know all these streaming speakers, but there's no speaker who has memory, and is also not kids friendly. We use this to make a first step in the field for AI toys, and we see also this market like for older people in Japan, that they need to speak to somebody, because when you speak to somebody, your brain is still working. For this, we go on Kickstarter in 2 months, so everybody in the room is invited to go and support us on Kickstarter. We're thinking about 250,000 euro to raise on Kickstarter, and this is also the same amount we need at seed funding for Nextnode. So I have 2 minutes more, so I have somebody in the room who wants to tell me some about his childhood. How many of you have heard a bedtime story? Can you raise your hand from your mother? Okay. For what you remember? It was a good experience to hear the bedtime story? Great experience, yeah. And you will go and tell it to your child when you have someone. You will follow this and the history of your family, and you will provide this. So you think it's a good idea? I hope so. So, any questions? Because I have time.
Any questions from the audience first before we let our commentators go in? Okay. Shy crowd here. Okay. If not, let's give a big round to Hogador from Life.
Thank you.
And now we'll turn it over to our commentators to ask their questions. So Brian and Hidemi, what do you have for him?
Thank you. First question. Could you maybe clarify for me? So you have built your own speaker with its memory, and then you also have kind of like a voice AI software that powers it as well, and you have an on-prem device that also does that. Can you explain to me a bit about your business model?
Sorry, again?
Can you explain to me a bit about your business model? Are you charging per device?
Yeah, sure. The business model is always the same as a SaaS model. So for the bear, it will be a SaaS subscription model. You buy the bear and you buy the subscription over the app so that you can generate the story. And also the voice cloning part is also a subscription. So when you want to clone your voice for telling the story in your voice, you need also a subscription. Funny part is I'd never believe that people really want to clone their voice, but parents, 90% of the people we asked, they want their own voice telling the story. And the business model for Nextnode is the same. We have first the subscription model, the hardware sale. And also we will do some consulting because of the workflow, so that you know what kind of template you need for medical instead of a log use case.
Great, thank you. And my last question is, you mentioned some key value propositions around security, real-time transcription, and so on. But there you are then battling against, I think you mentioned Apple with real-time translations, for example. So they have access, and you have other value proposition. How do you envision going up against that?
For example, with these Apple iPod real-time translation, it's not allowed in Europe. Very simple. This is against the AI Act, and we as a German company will provide a solution what is clearly AI conform. So we have this as a very clear point. And on the other hand, you see when you have a deal with big companies, you are not sure where your data goes. So our idea is to have it on-premise in a private cloud. So the data is in your office or in your hospital and will not go to any cloud externally.
Thank you. My first question would be, among the different types of products you have, how do you envision to scale or put focus into, in terms of, because it seems like the customers, the target, are a bit slightly different.
The thing is, everything is a PCB board instead. So the PCB board has different chips on it, and we use the same chip of the, you cannot believe it, but the note taker and the chip on the loudspeaker is the same. So we use this as scaling, so that we come to numbers that we can cut the cost. And to do the different kinds of markets, we're doing partnerships, very clearly.
And would the pricing be the same, or how would it work?
The pricing is, for the note-taking, it will be around 150 euro, with a monthly fee about 39 euro. And for the bear, it's a price tag around 90 euro and around 5 euro per month.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Put your hands together again for life. Okay, now returning back to the Swiss startups, please welcome to the stage from Switzerland, TheraBuddy. Welcome to OSAKA Springboard. Ready for your
Yes, I'm
presentation?
ready.
Okay, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Konnichiwa. I'm Ting Chuan. I'm the founder of TheraBuddy. So before my pitch, I believe many of you have heard of mental disorder from the news, family, friends, relatives. And can I ask, do you know how many people exactly are suffering from mental disorder? Put your hands up. Do you know? I don't have a clicker, okay. The answer is over 970 million people, and that figure is being updated. Unfortunately, only in Japan, over 5 million people are suffering from only depressive disorders. And you might think there are lots of solutions in the market, including therapies and medication. And unfortunately, the figure is wrong. Unfortunately, there are too many delays and too late. In reality, over half of the mental disorders start before 14 years old, and over 18% of the populations, they wait over 10 years for the treatment. And unfortunately, over $1 trillion USD per year has been wasted on productivity loss only due to depression and anxiety. The good news is many mental health problems can be prevented with the right approach, and the core is to strengthen mental health literacy plus reduce stigma. We have to do it earlier because this is the better way. And TheraBuddy here today, we are the real game changer. So TheraBuddy is a neuroscience-driven digital solution for mental health prevention. We transform the psychoeducation into a gamified, engaging learning journey. We have 3 pillars. The first pillar is we grounded in science, built on CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, neuroscience, and decades of clinical expertise. The second pillar is we combine structured long-term learning and short-term practice. And third pillar is we empower users with real high engagement, step by step with mental health knowledge and practical self-management skill. Our foundation is starting from cognition with basic awareness of mental health and mental disorder. Second one is we go to exploration to understand factors and mechanisms. And third step, we do the self-check with investigation and explore the support strategies. The last one, we help users to take action to build resilience and empathy. So our solution is a platform to connect both users and the managers. From the user end, we equip users with essential knowledge and skills. For the manager end, we help managers to identify the risk and act early. So you can see that from the user end, user can access the gamified learning modules. They can also choose different modules based on daily mood check and micro practice. They can also have the self-monitoring. If they have some issue, they also can go to the support tools. To increase the engagement, we also add the social features. For the manager end, the manager, they can track and monitor progress to manage either students or employees. They can also predict the risk group by risk predictor and send alerts. If they have some issues, they can also do the early intervention as soon as possible. And we offer the B2C2B digital service. First target group is private school. We help students. So basically, we help students to reduce their stress, improve study resilience, and improve academic performance. We charge the private school bundle into the tuition fee. The second group, we help the corporates for their employees. We help the employees reduce their stress and anxiety from work, boost productivity, and lower turnover rate. So we charge the corporation by yearly subscription per employee. Of course, we have different competitors in the market, including direct and indirect. You might also have heard of some big names here. But Cerebody, we stand out with deeper understanding and a unique approach. We did extensive research and interviews. We have prevention focus, neuroscience focus. We co-created with different people. We have unique gamified mechanics. Right now, we have over 20 organizations in Switzerland and China already on our waiting list, ready to try and implement our solution, including psychology institution, international school, and educational organization. And by 2030, the mental health costs, because of the condition, will increase to 6 trillion per year. And by focusing on prevention, at least we want to capture at least 1% of this burden, which is 60 billion USD. Of course, we have a great team behind it. And I'm the founder and CEO of Cerebody. I'm a serial entrepreneur in digitalization. I have built a digital product for over 200 million active users. And Yolanda, she's a research lead. She has 10 years experience in research and published paper in some psychological papers. And Jose, he's a psychology lead. And he has co-founded a renowned mental health clinic for over 20 years. And today we are here. We are raising 500K Swiss franc to launch and scale our project. For 60% of this capital, we will implement to the R&D part by hiring different talents. And for 30%, we will use for business and marketing, including different events. And for 10%, we will use for admin and operations. And thanks for listening. And I hope mental health prevention matters for lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tingran, with Cerebody. Give her another big round of applause. Yay. Okay. All right, we're going to now switch it off to our commentators for their feedback and questions. So, Hidemi and Brian.
Thank you, Tinkwat. First, I would like to clarify the relation or the concept of the user and manager. Is the target more, for example, if it's corporates, that it's mandatory that their employees do this? And then is the objective for this gaming, for example, if it was the school, the teachers to be monitoring on a daily or monthly annual basis and the employees? Or is it, so does it come from that side and not from the user side if they have something that they would like to cope with?
Yeah, definitely. Because we are a B2C to B service, so we sell to the big customer, but the user will use that. So manager means different thing in different scenario. So for the corporates, it could be the HR, it could be the business owner, and for the school setting, it could be the counselor, because we have lots of counselors for psychological help in the school, including China and Switzerland, I think in Japan as well. So the counselor, the school principal, and also the teachers. So it can mean different thing. But for the user side, in the school setting, it's the students. We target teenager students. And for the corporates, we just target the employees. Yeah.
So it's really more the incentive for example, if it was corporates, for not people to have burnout and for, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Burnout is one typical issues in the corporates. And we also train the leadership because leadership is also related to mental health as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ting Chuan. Two questions. One is, I think you mentioned on one of the slides, there's cognition, right? But from what I understand, this is not really a diagnosis tool. You're not trying to catch early on some warning signs around depressive disorders or things like that, or maybe I got it wrong, so I wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
The cognition is the first part of CBT, right? It's a cognitive behavior therapy. I think to have this solution for mental health prevention, we have to do that from the basic understanding of mental health and mental disorder. Because the tricky part of mental health and mental disorder is subjective, it's invisible, it's unmeasurable. So this is why we have to start from the basic awareness with cognition. And lots of time when people, they start to realize they have depressive disorder, it's too late. And there are lots of millions of people in the world, they try to kill themselves, and then nobody noticed that. And nobody know how to support them. So this is why we have to start from cognition. It's also aligned with the CBT principle.
Okay, so it serves as more of an early warning system rather than a diagnosis tool that this might be happening.
Exactly. So the cognition is more from the user side. And diagnosis, like when you go to a clinic, they give you some form, right? It has some standards, but sometimes the real life is more tricky than that form. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank
and
you.
My last question is, you mentioned real life is more tricky, and I think one of the problems we are seeing with mental health especially is especially used in the corporate setting, is you don't want your manager to know that you are going through those complications or issues in case something happens to your job, for example. How do you counter that kind of behavior?
Yeah. I think, like, for example, in the unicorn company in China, right, lots of stress are from the work directly. It's tricky. But one thing I can be so sure is the corporate, they don't want to lose their employee because the turnover rate is really high in any company. And they want to boost the productivity, including the teamwork, collaboration, and the work performance. This is happening in China and in other countries as well. So from the manager end, they want to have stable revenue by the close collaboration from the employees. They also want to keep the good talents instead of damaging their mental health. So if we can empower, let's say empower this word to the employers, to the school counselors or principals, we can sell the solution to them because we have different selling point to different target groups.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, another big round of applause for TheraBuddy, helping people around the world. All right, it is now time for our last, but definitely not our least, presentation. I'd like to welcome from Switzerland, Duoki. Already ready? Yeah. Okay, take it away.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm happy to be there today. Long travel, but hopefully I'm there. So I will introduce you Duoki. I'm Najib. Winnie, I'm the CEO of Duoki. We are a cybersecurity company. So we address a common problem for large company, and all companies around the world, they have suffered at least one data breaches. So what we provide for our companies is a way to protect their most sensitive data when they use cloud services. And I think in the different presentation, we are talking about data privacy. We are tackling this problem. So how we made this problem a solution? First, where you are exposed is when you process data. When you process data, you have to decrypt, you have to process in clear text. And this is the weakest point, because hackers, or by misconfigurations, you can expose your business, your entire corporations, to data leakage. And it happens every day, every week. You will see on the press, I think in Japan recently, we have the social security number leaked over the internet for data breaches. So this problem needs to be addressed with a solution. So what we have done at DuoKey is we have built a solution which is based on cryptography, mathematics. So I'm mathematics background, PhD, and we have developed something called homomorphic encryptions. And I will give you an example just after. So these two technology, which is based on what we call secure multi-party. I give you an example. And a typical example in Switzerland, to open your bank, yourself in the bank, you need one key from you and one key from the bank. So you need two keys to open your safe, right? Not only one person can see your funds in the bank. So we developed technology exactly like this. This is called multi-party computations. I think if I can jump, this is the technology here. The other technology we developed is different. Imagine a world where you cannot, we don't need to see your data. So imagine you are doing a puzzle. Are you able to do a puzzle completely blind? You think it's possible or not? Mathematically, it's possible. With the technology here, and we use that for AI, sorry, let's move here. We use that for AI, but also for machine learning. You don't need to see the puzzle. You can make the puzzle completely blind, and you will see the complete image. And we have done that for healthcare. Before I move to the tech, I just make this little slide here. And you see you have two US companies here. So these are cloud providers. And you have one which is not US. It's sovereign cloud. So if you distribute your secret, the keys to open your safe, in 3 different locations, nobody has the keys. So if nobody has the keys, nobody can see your data except you. With this system, you have a way to protect your business-sensitive data without letting anyone see your data. The second technology here is the puzzle technology I mentioned before. This we use for confidential AI. So we call this technology TrustScore. Why? It's not a chip. I think we mentioned before in the previous talk, we put the algorithm, the cryptographic, directly on silicon to make the computation faster. So it's like the photonics example we see in the beginning, but here we use for cryptographic accelerations. Because the computation, when you compute on encrypted data, you need a lot of computation power. Otherwise, it's very slow. So this is called TrustScore. I forgot to mention, we partner with the biggest company in the world, NVIDIA and Intel, to make this cryptographic solution, TrustScore, embedded directly into the SDK and GPUs. So the FHE techniques is used for medical healthcare. So you have your X-ray, completely clear text. You send it encrypted to the cloud. The cloud will process it fully encrypted, like the puzzle. So it will not see your patient record, give you the result, and you decrypt locally. You have solved one major issue. If the cloud is breached, nothing is available. So you solve data breach issue we mentioned before. So for example, X-ray here, we perform some sample computation. You just need a MacBook. I think most of you have MacBook. So you can decrypt what the cloud is processing in fully encrypted way, and you have very accurate result, near 90%. And this number will improve with the acceleration we do with Intel and NVIDIA, because more accelerations, better results are. So our growth, we have been recognized last year, one of the best growing startups in Europe in the cyber by a jury of very, very big firm. So we have seen incredible growth, 300% growth. We have increased revenue every year. We are break-even since day one. We have not raised any money so far. We are doing Series A. This is why I'm here today. It's a 10 million plus fundraising. We have very large customers. I mentioned at the beginning. We have Volkswagen Group with all the brands from Volkswagen. So Audi, Porsche, Bentley, Lamborghini. They use our solutions for EV vehicle security, connected vehicles. And now we have started the announcement with Intel to deploy the technology directly on the chip at data centers to provide this technology for all their customers that needs privacy when they use cloud services. And we work also, I forgot to mention, on post-quantum security, because most of the organizations are exposed to quantum computer. So this technology is already quantum resistant. So the market is so huge. I think we have several verticals: the cloud market, the cloud security market, the automotive market, where we have a strong footprint, including Toyota. We have AI, confidential AI. We mentioned several times AI in the previous talk. We are able to encrypt data, so OpenAI, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, they will not see your data. So they can completely work on encrypted data. And the GPU market, TPU market is growing really fast, and we are in this market. So revenue model is spread over several channels, partners, marketplace, directly with NVIDIA and Intel have marketplace directly with them. The team is very strong. Myself, I am a serial entrepreneur. I have done 2 exits before. My head of research, Pascal Junot, I done an exit to Snapchat 3 months after he created his company. Jean-Luc Bechat is our scientific advisor. He used to work in Japan, in Tsukuba University. This is why also I'm here to open an R&D center here, a second R&D center in Japan. And we have like executive Nabil for Cisco, who have bootstrapped the company with me. So that's it for the presentation. I'm happy to take any question.
Okay, thank you so much. Put your hands together for Dookie. All right, encrypting the world, okay? So now let's open it up to Brian and Hidemi with questions that you have for him.
Thank you for the presentation. My question would be, so that you embed directly onto the chips. GPU, they are also maturing or have new technologies being developed, different materials, different design. Does yours, are they compatible to these new different models and types that are approaching?
Yeah, I forgot to precise. So the software, we are a software company. So what we do is really cryptography. So we do mathematics. And what we do with chips, we do acceleration using the lowest level possible. So that means we are fabless. We don't produce chip. But chip manufacturers, they need our algorithm to be, let's say, very accurate. And this is why, in fact, we started with NVIDIA and Intel. Today, they also have big guys in the team, but we are so much specialized in that area, and we have direct access to very large, big customers. We mentioned Volkswagen, but also Toyota, and also luxury brand in Switzerland. I can't disclose the name because it's recorded, but all the luxury brand, they use our solution to protect the brand. But to answer your question, we develop cryptographic acceleration techniques that makes the computation faster.
Thank you for clarifying.
Thanks, Najib. Just one question for you. So you have the people in the audience, you have the people watching online. You mentioned that you're interested in finding investors. Could you maybe explain more on the type of investors that you're looking for here in Japan, and maybe the types of companies as well, whether channel partners or other software players?
Yes. So we are here in Japan. First, we have an investor in Japan that is committed to invest. So good news for us. We have visited him in Europe, and we have seen the Japanese branch here. So we have first commitment from one investor. For investment, I think we are really close to finish the round. There is still some spot available, open to discuss. Now for partners, as we would like to expand in Japan for 2 reasons. We have a lot of electronic and chip company here. And this is why we are here also to visit them, to present the technology for first the company for chip, and also company that are IT services. We mentioned Accenture, Capgemini, we work with them in Europe, in US, but in Japan, as you know, we need a Japanese IT company that knows the customers, speak the language, know the market also. So we are open for partnership with them because we are not direct selling. We are indirect. We are good for developing tech, but not good to, let's say, to expand worldwide. This is why we have these indirect channels, except when we do tech with Intel, we are direct connect with them because they have sales team, channels teams. So yes, we are open for both discussion.
Great. The system integrators or the players that you mentioned are definitely present here as well, but you see that the landscape here is completely different and dominated by different players as well. We can discuss separately.
Yeah, we don't know all of them. I've met a few of them. So the difficulty for us is to know which one has, let's say, the knowledge, because we are talking about both electronics, chips, and mathematics. Cryptography is not an easy way to sell. You need to be a very simple explanation for customers. So we need some company that like innovation and deep tech.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. A big round of applause for Duokey. Okay, and with that, we come to the end of all 10 of our pitches. Thank you so much for hearing from all these fantastic companies. A huge thank you to all of the startups and their incredible presentations. Let's give them another big round of applause for coming out today. Now, before we move on to the awards show, we have a special announcement from one of our key partners, FutureWorks. FutureWorks provides innovative working spaces for both domestic and international startups, and also for digital nomads who travel the world. We'd like to invite Ms. Chikako Tsuda to tell us more about their services. Chikako, could you join us, please? Let's give her a round of applause. What do we have? Okay, tell us about FutureWorks.
Okay. Hi, hello everyone. Thank you for having me here today. And I know you guys must be so tired, but I hope you can enjoy and relax listening. Okay, I'm Chikako from Hankyu Hanshin Properties Corporation, and today I would like to introduce FutureWorks, Osaka's premier 24/7 co-working hub for professional startups and nomads. So whether you are exploring opportunity in Japan or just traveling through, we offer good workspace in the heart of Osaka. So we are focusing on 3 core pillars. So first, supporting startups. We are providing resources and physical assets to help them. Second is supporting global digital nomads. We are offering comfortable and productive space for professionals from around the world. Third, fostering a community. So we are nurturing a strong community where diverse talent can connect and collaborate. Through these initiatives, we want to promote Osaka as a leading global innovation hub. So one of our biggest advantages is prime location. FutureWorks is in the heart of Osaka within a 5 minutes walk from Umeda Station, which is on Hankyu, Hanshin, and subway line, and Osaka Station, JR Osaka Station. So our facility span is approximately 1,400 square meters and is open 24/7. So it's fully equipped co-working space, 120 seats, and private office space, 26 rooms, and phone booths, meeting rooms, and shower rooms, and mini recording studio, even karaoke room. And the view from here is amazing. And also, if you like it, so if you want to use here, so we can offer a minimum day pass, and if you convert to weekly pass or monthly pass, you can use 24/7 by face recognition system. So FutureWorks is more than a co-working space. It's vibrant community. So we regularly host events such as yoga class, kickboxing classes, and tea ceremony and sake tasting also. Yeah, and also we have a little bit big event twice a year called Future Fest. It's FutureWorks promotion event, which brings together digital nomad and startup. I think it's a good opportunity to taste Osaka. Actually, we will have this event from end of this month. So if you want, but we will have next event in spring. So if you want to join, please check us. So FutureWorks is operated by Hankyu Hanshin Corporation, a core company of Hankyu Hanshin Holdings Group. This slide shows group's significant presence in Osaka Umeda area. So including innovation-related facilities and event space that foreign company can leverage to pilot and promote. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, thank you very much for your attention. And we believe FutureWorks can offer a unique environment for inspiration, collaboration, and cultural exchange in Osaka. So please stop by anytime. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's give a big round of applause to Chicago for telling us all about FutureWorks. Sounds like a wonderful place to either start your business, or if you're working on your business, a great place to work here in the heart of Osaka. Okay, we're still waiting a little bit we've got our 2 awards coming up. It's so many fantastic companies that gave pitches today. So if they're still working on that, just hold on for one moment and we'll be back soon. Okay, and now the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time to announce our awards. Thank you so much for your patience. Are you ready? Okay. We will now first announce the company that delivered an outstanding and compelling presentation. The Best Pitch Award goes to Duoki! Please come up, yeah. We'll have Enuka Damien, please come out to pass off our award. Oh, wait, right here. Congratulations on a fantastic award, okay. In fact, okay. And now for a second and final award, please right there. This award recognizes the company with the potential to make a significant impact in the world. And the Impact Award goes to Hydrox! Come on up. All right, and we'd now like to have our presenters come out and give our awards, please. Thank you so much. So again, for our best pitch goes to Duoki. Yay. And the Impact Award to the stage to Hydrox. Please right in a minute. Okay. Move up a little bit more into the front there, okay? Thank you so much. It was very, very difficult. So many fantastic companies, wonderful pitches today, but we now have our pitch winners. So Kodak moment, everybody smile. Okay, now furthermore, our incredible partner FutureWorks is pleased to also offer each of the selected companies a special gift, a complimentary pass to their state-of-the-art co-working space. Suda-san, can we come up with? Oh, thank you so much. Yay! Congratulations. All right, so now you can do some thinking at one of the FutureWorks spots there. Okay. Okay, and if we could all now have all of our other presenters please come to the stage and we can take a picture together. Thank you, everybody that's presented today. Come on up. Don't be shy. You all did an amazing job. Fantastic presentations. Let's give a big round of applause as they come up to the stage, please. Okay. All right, thank you so much. Okay, please go down. Okay. And now I'd like to have our commentators give some remarks about why they chose our presenters today.
First, I would like to say that everyone gave great presentations. Thank you, all the startups. It was really amazing and inspirational. So a big round of applause to everyone. Really great job. Our selection, so the Best Pitch Award, we decided based on the style and the confidence conveyed through the presentation. That was, I think, the biggest, and also that the presentation itself, it was really well made. A lot of the presentations were Japanese, the other startups too, but we thought that was great. Yes, so that was the main reason. We do also want to give a shout out to Tommy, because it was actually a really tight there to choose. So congrats to Tommy as well.
All right, runner up there. You're close.
Yeah, and just to add on to what Emmy mentioned, doing business in Japan, if you want to translate the slides into Japanese and then speak over it in English, it does help as well to a Japanese audience. So great job on that cultural nuance. In terms of the Impact Award, the way we assessed it was a combination of social impact as well as financial, economic impact. So when you combine the two, we thought that Hydrix had both elements in the strongest sense, but again, everyone did really well, and thank you so much for presenting today. We really appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much. And let's give a big round of applause for our two commenters who did a fantastic job asking all the questions and deciding on our winners. All right, everybody, and that's a wrap, everyone. We'd like to thank you all for an incredible day. Thank you. Thank you so much. We'd like to thank everybody for an incredible day of great pitches and different presentations. So inspiring. We'd like to give one last round of applause for all of the startups and everybody that came out here today and spent time with us here. We do hope that everybody feels energized after this and inspired by all of the different products, companies, and people that they've heard from today. Please feel free to network. I see there's lots of people that can work together, lots of ways that people can have synergy together. It's going to be great. So please talk with them, learn more about their company, learn more about their teams. Thank you all for coming out, and we all hope that you have a fantastic evening. Thank you so much. Goodbye.